So, what's going on, guys? This is Sir Clarence with Ultra Black News, and today we had the honor and privilege of interviewing Kelsey. Kelsey, welcome. This queen was a 3-time first-team All-Ivy League honoree at Princeton University and was first-team All-American and also named Ivy League Player of the Year in 2016. This queen has been making history, competing in the National Women's Hockey League and making her way to being the first black head hockey coach in NCAA's 115-year history. Kelsey Koelzer, welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So is there anything that I should add to your intro?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you hit it all. I'm the first black head women's hockey coach.
Correct.
There actually, I believe, there actually was a gentleman who coached in the 1970s, I believe, a new team. You know, obviously, I don't think the hockey world was ready to praise him like they luckily for my sake have praised me. But
yes.
I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you for that information and clarification, because that is much needed. Your resume is definitely truly amazing. So for the audience that are watching, could you share with us about your beginnings in hockey and what inspired you to pursue the sport?
Yeah, so I was raised, like you said, I grew up going and I went to Happer Horsham High School. So I grew up in Horsham, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 minutes northwest of the city of Philadelphia. So, back when I was growing up in the late 90s, hockey, it was bountiful here for boys, but not really for girls. But I was fortunate enough. I was raised in a very tight-knit family, and my 2 older cousins played hockey, and so I was kind of was basically like the little sister that was getting lugged around to their games. And even though I'm not, technically their sister, it's kind of one and the same. And so I was always just at the rink, watching their games, going to their tournaments. Just really, I mean, I can't remember a weekend that I was not at a hockey rink, from the time that it was basically safe for my mom to take me there as a baby. And so that was ultimately what sparked my love for ice hockey. I was kind of constantly there. So part of me figured, well, if I'm here, I might as well play myself, right?
Yes.
I might as well get to actually be on the ice and do it, because, it looked so fun watching my cousins and wanting to kind of emulate them and be just like them. So that was what really kickstarted my hockey career.
That's awesome. And so let me ask you this, because I'm a Florida boy and so I barely know how to roller skate. How is it skating on ice?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think catches people and brings them in from the first time that they skate or even try skating, because it's such an awesome feeling. I think you kind of get the sense with roller skating, and I think that's an awesome transition. A lot of times, once you kind of get the hang of roller skating and you're used to balancing on some rather thin, blades and wheels, then, it's an easier transition to get on the ice. But you really, it's just so smooth, and you kind of feel a little bit like you're flying out there, which is awesome. You can get the cool breeze in your face, and you feel like you're moving very quickly. Even if you're not moving that quickly on the ice, even if you're just beginning, it's just such an incredible feeling to, kind of be out there doing something that's seemingly, balancing on 2 little 3mm blades or whatever they are. Seems crazy, but it is just so fun and kind of a very freeing feeling.
Well, let me ask you this, just to add to that. How do you stop?
Yeah, that one is probably the hardest thing. And when anytime I'm doing clinics with, some younger kids and stuff like that, and I'm trying to think through how to teach someone to stop, it's very difficult because you kind of have to just be fearless and kind of throw your body weight to one side, hoping that you don't topple over the other way. So I understand how it's one of the hardest, I think it's the hardest aspect of skating. It's just figuring out how to stop. But once you get the hang of it a couple of times, then you start to trust yourself and it feels a bit more natural, but it is a hard hurdle to jump.
Yes. So let me ask you this. So, going back to your career playing. So, I was a former track star, did D1 as well, and, ended up competing against some of the pros and stuff in the industry. I didn't have the luxury of making it pro in the sport because I got hurt before, I could really make my mark. But let me ask you this. How did it feel whenever you were drafted?
Yeah, it was an incredible feeling. I knew that, I'll say this, I knew that I was going to be getting drafted. Like most professional leagues, you have to show your interest initially. So, I had been approached by a team in the NWHL asking if playing in the league was something that I was looking to do after college. And so I had known that, I was going to be drafted, but, I remember finding out that I'd gotten drafted first overall. It was, I was driving in the car with my mom, actually heading on a midsummer vacation. And we were just sitting in traffic, on the highway, heading to the beach with every other family that was trying to do the same. Yeah. And, it was because they did our drafts through Twitter. So I just, was kind of constantly refreshing my Twitter feed. And then when I saw that I went first overall, I was very shocked but so proud of myself and everything that I had accomplished in the last couple of years. Cause it really, I think my career really took off, kind of starting my sophomore year of college. So I was a bit of a late bloomer, I think, when it came to, obviously I had made it to the Division I level, but I wasn't performing I didn't perform that well freshman year. But, once sophomore year came, I kind of, got in my stride, got some confidence and that really took off. And so I was definitely really, really proud without even knowing that I was, the first Black hockey player to be drafted first overall in a North American hockey draft. But so then once I found that out, it just kind of continued to stack on top. But it was such an incredible feeling.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. So, transitioning from that, so how did you find your way into coaching? I know that you have, a lot of leadership things and a lot of training that you've done for individuals as well. What drove you into that direction of being a head coach?
Yeah, I was just finishing up my second season playing professional hockey, and it's not playing women's professional sports a lot of times is not everything that that you expect and that you think it's going to be considering you're a professional, right? But so I was kind of reaching that mark of wondering really how much I had left to give. It's and part of it's out of circumstance. I live in the Philadelphia area, and the team that I was playing for was up near New York City. And so that was quite a hike to get there, 3-4 times a week for practicing games and stuff like that. Yeah. And so, it was really taking a toll on my body. I was dealing with a lot of injuries and, just was really struggling with how much I really had left in the tank, so to speak. And so, and at that time, I actually had just reached kind of the 1.5-year mark within my corporate job as well. And so, I was starting to get that itch of, I don't think that this, is the profession that I want for the rest of my life. And so I was, kind of thinking about, well, what's next? And then Arcadia actually opened their position at the perfect time for me. And so I actually received, it was like a random weekday over my lunch hour, I received a phone call from my aunt who works at Arcadia. She works in the English department and is also an adjunct professor. And she just gave me the heads up. She said, hey, I spoke to the folks over in HR. They said the position is open right now. You should really submit your resume. And I hadn't really thought about it that much, but that night I was like, hey, why not? Let me submit my resume and see what happens. And I had always known that coaching was something that I wanted to do and, get the chance to continue to impact the hockey world some way after I was playing, after I was done playing. And so it kind of was the perfect place, perfect time, opportunity. It's right in my backyard. It's giving me the chance to give back to hockey in this area, and start a high-level women's hockey team in an area where girls hockey is just consistently growing. And it also gave me the chance to continue to keep hockey as like kind of that one of those main factors of my life, which was just awesome.
Yes, and you know what? I wanted to, touch back on something that you stated, and I wanted to point out, and it's more about, paying women in sports and really investing in it as well, because, you guys play it just it's the highest level of intensity that we play as well. So there's something that we in this nation or around the world we need to touch on, and making sure it's equality in pay and different things like that. So that's big. And then also you something else that I got out of there was unlike basketball, football, baseball, all these different things, whenever you play in a sport like hockey, or you play in a sport like track and field and going professional and stuff, like in track and field, unless you're getting those big time endorsements and stuff like that, you have to work a full-time job. It's some athletes out there that they're working full-time jobs while they're competing for the United States or different things like that. And so it's a lot of people out there, they don't know these types of things. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So let me ask you this, in terms of being a coach and building a program, how intense is that for you?
Yeah, it's a brand new challenge. It's definitely something that I, obviously when I accepted the role, I knew what was coming, but I obviously had never gone through it before. So I didn't quite know exactly what to expect, which, it was a new challenge day in and day out to, keep pushing myself to, reach those goals that I had set, and being kind of reasonable with myself as well in terms of, how much work one single person can do at any given time. I was, until January, I was, the only person on my staff that was recruiting and trying to build this program. And so, nonetheless, doing that through a pandemic for the past, for the prior 8 months. And so, it was a challenge, trying to coordinate everything. I would say prior to COVID-19, I was on the road 2 or 3 weekends out of every month. It was heavy travel. It was, just constant communication, constant outreach. But it's something that it's definitely rewarding once you kind of see those efforts pay off, and you see kids that are really in love with the school that you've been trying to sell them, and are so excited to get started on their 4-year journey, at such an incredible school, in my opinion. And so to see that pay off, I think is definitely, it makes all of that effort worth it. But I definitely don't think that I quite knew what to expect going into it. But you just, you learn on the fly and you adjust. And that's what's so great about, being athletes. You develop that ability to kind of just go with the flow and adjust and read and react and be flexible and adapt, and it makes it so much easier no matter what you're doing in life, to be honest. Whether you're absolutely or whether you're on Wall Street, it doesn't matter. Just having that mindset, I think, definitely helps.
Yes, yes. So let me ask you this: where do you see your, hockey, for you in the future? Where would you like to see it at?
Gosh, I mean, obviously we've seen in a lot of, professional ranks there being more women. And I think that's something that I've constantly tried to advocate for, is just, having women in leadership positions, whether it is coaching or whether it's in the front office of, some junior teams for hockey, whether it's in the front office of some NHL teams. Those kinds of things are definitely important, not only for, for the growth of the sport in general, having men see women in power positions and holding their own and proving themselves, right? But also for young girls, because if they see, growing up, I knew that I wanted to make hockey my life, but I also knew that I never in a million years pictured that it would have anything to do with the NHL, because I understood that separation. So I knew I wanted hockey to be my life, but I never imagined that it would be like in an organization like the NHL. But we're seeing now more and more women in power positions within, professional sports teams. And I think that's something that's really incredible and will help a ton of young girls. So, I think that's obviously a dream is to continue to grow. But for the time being, it's seeing through, with these 19 girls that have, decided that Arcadia is the place for them, and getting the chance to actually become the first Black female NCAA coach, and just making this year the best that I can.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. This will be my final question for you, and this is the biggest one. So how does it feel, to be, to receive this honor, being, in 115 years? How does that feel to you? Like knowing that you are history?
Yeah, it's a bit of like a double-edged sword, I think, to be honest, because there is obviously this feeling of, immense pride, and I think it's opened so many incredible doors, and it's allowed me to really share my story and try to make a positive change. And I think that's something that you can never take away from me.
Yes.
At the same time, there's, this sense and this feeling of, why did it take so long? How have we come, how have we not gotten further than we have in, the past few decades that, Black people have still been in hockey. Willie O'Ree broke the color barrier decades ago. And so, why did that, why has it taken this long to kind of get to the point where we're at, where we're actually starting to have real conversations about this, and we're starting to respect, some minority voices. And so I think that I mentioned it earlier. I think it's the right time. Obviously, I mentioned before there was, a coach who coached in the 70s, and he obviously, he hasn't gotten the recognition that, that I think, he would have gotten if he were coaching now. And so I think, it kind of speaks to that time and just how unprepared they were to have someone of color, and in order of just not unprepared to have him, but just in terms of celebrating him and lifting him up and supporting him the way that the hockey world has really supported me. And so, I think it's obviously the right time now. We're in this transition period where, we see and we respect, all different kinds of voices. And so I'm glad that I'm certainly glad that it's happened to me, and I can never, I can never give that up, in terms of just the pride that I feel in being in this position and having the chance to really share my story and amplify my voice.
That's awesome. And then I wanted to mention too, the fact that you know your history in your sport. That's really the biggest thing, because a lot of people, they get in, they don't know the history, they don't know who set this record, who did this. So yeah, but hey, I really appreciate you. I know you got the travel, so I don't want to hold you up. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with before you go?
No, just thank you so much for having me on, and audience, thank you so much for listening to my story, and hopefully I provided a few, little golden tips